Oh, we're talking about Susan, my sister's son, Matthew,
Oh, Matt,
and
okay,
his
Matt
wife.
and Mar. Okay,
Yeah.
and
great,
his
thank
wife,
you.
Mar, who is Spanish, have 3 kids, 2 boys and a daughter. And their daughter, Miriam, is 13 and just had her bat mitzvah. And so
Okay, great, thank
we
you.
went up to this bat mitzvah, and Matt and Mar are both investors in startups. And apparently in this class that she teaches, they break into groups of 4 or 5, and every semester at least one of their groups hits it really successfully. And so Matt said, and so that's Mars DoorDash Porsche. So DoorDash apparently was developed in her class, and she's driving a beautiful blue Porsche, and that was thanks to DoorDash as one example, I guess.
That's nice.
So, but the truth of the matter is they're really very wonderful and very nice people and down to earth. And so after that, we went up to see Susanna. And then our son Daniel has, in addition to a son in Canada, and I don't know how much you know about Daniel, but his wife, Samantha, was sick for 22 years and she died in April. And so we went, and he has 2 sperm donor daughters. He was a sperm donor for 2 girls of 2 moms. And so we went to see the girls and their moms in Sacramento. So that was our trip recently. Since you asked, Susanna, right? We have a pretty unique family, I think, in several regards.
That's great.
Yeah. So what else? So Mark Bebro, what are you up to? I know you do important things in Pittsburgh, don't you?
No, that's a rumor.
No, seriously, you
That's
mentioned something when we were on together and I didn't remember what it was.
Well, I'm still working, and that will end actually May 1st, so the end is in sight. I run a foundation, so I tell people I have the best job in the world. We give money away to help primarily inner city kids have a future, and I get paid well to do it. So it's a wonderful place to be. I've done that for 14 years, and will retire May 1st or something like that. So that's what I'm up to.
So what are your plans when you retire? You're going to go anywhere? Take a vacation?
We're still negotiating.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
I'm not ready to retire. I'm not ready to hang it up and just play golf.
Mhm.
To play golf. So I'm not sure.
Would you look for another job?
I would look for an activity. We've got $3 million in real estate flipping houses in a very low income neighborhood, and I've been asked to stay and run that. So that's very part time. That keeps me in the game, and that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy doing it, I gather.
I love it. Love
That's
it.
great.
It has impact on the neighborhood. It's wonderful. And so
Where are the houses?
these are all Pittsburgh neighborhoods. In the south side, Hilltop, Allentown, Knoxville, Beltsuver, long forgotten. They thrived when the mills were running. They kind of fell apart afterwards. 2 generations have left, but the housing stock is pretty good. So it's now kind of cool to live in an urban environment in Pittsburgh. So we're buying and rehabbing these houses and selling them at a pretty affordable price. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. It's all good.
That's great.
There's some really nice houses in Pittsburgh. I mean, even the regular stock is a nice house. I was very impressed.
It's solid stuff. It's not fancy. It's solid, and it's compared to where you folks are, it's dirt cheap. It's very affordable.
That's true.
Yeah, is
We make-
Susan going to join us today?
She couldn't make it.
Okay, because her
And-
daughter.
Are we going to see Joe?
Well, he
Joe
said he
said-
was going to be here.
He was going to be about 15 minutes late, I think.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Betsy, what's up with you?
SOS. I'm still bleeding vaginally.
Are you really?
Yeah, not very much this time around, though.
So do you have a date for the surgery?
I don't. They were going to call me back, so I guess I'm going to have to rattle their cage.
Mhm.
That doesn't sound like any fun.
No, it's supposed to be, what's it called? It's a hysterectomy and D&C.
Hysterectomy, yeah.
No, it's a
Yeah.
hysteroscopy.
Oh, I've never heard of that. What does that mean?
What they do is, I think they test the lining of my uterus.
And what are they looking for?
Well, I have too much estrogen in my body. I'm 67 years old.
Too much estrogen. That's an unusual time to have so much estrogen.
Yeah, well, I had pellet therapy in the last time I had it was in October of 2021. And what they did was they cut a slit in my butt and put in testosterone and estrogen.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Sounds
I want-
terrible.
Pardon me?
It sounds terrible.
Well, it only takes a week to heal,
Oh,
but it helps with menopausal symptoms. Unfortunately, I got too much estrogen.
How can you balance that?
Well, I take progesterone every night, but I have too much estrogen, and that's my understanding about why I'm bleeding vaginally.
oh,
Barbie went with me in December to have an ultrasound on my pelvic region, and the endometrial layer in the uterus is supposed to be 2 mil thick, but it was 9 millimeters thick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's too thick, and the easiest way to remove the estrogen is to do a D&C, which means that essentially they take like a spoon of some nature and they scrape the lining of the uterus out to get rid of it. And then they study that. I guess that'll tell them more information.
That doesn't sound like any fun.
No, I'm not looking forward to it, but and the other problem with it is that my pre-op with the doctor's office has to be 4 days before the surgery because of COVID.
Mhm.
And so I have to have a negative COVID test in order to have the surgery.
Right.
Do I have to be with you for the COVID test?
Well, that's the pre-op appointment.
So,
The
I
same
see,
day.
I see, okay.
That's the same.
The government is sending a lot of these COVID
I got
tests.
mine.
Yeah,
got
they're
mine.
free.
Yeah.
You can test it on your own. We got several.
Right. Right. But they
Yeah,
have to
but
do
it's
this.
more
in-
accurate to do it to a clinic, as Betsy's saying.
Yeah, usually the hospital requires you to do a PCR test at the clinic.
Right.
A home
That's what
test, they won't accept a home test.
Right.
You know, I was looking through some old pictures recently.
I gave Barbie a picture of her mom.
Can you
Mom's-
see, can you see
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Can you see this picture?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you are, the two of you on the top row, right?
Well, this is, wait a minute, let me see if I can get it. So you see it? This is Susan.
It's too much reflection. You gotta angle it.
Flatten a little bit.
Is that better? Wait a minute, let me turn off. Is that better? Can you see it now or not?
Yeah, just,
It's
Need it
darker though.
light.
You need, wait, let's see. I want to be able to hold it and show you. Well,
It needs light.
is that better?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So who are all these beautiful people?
So this is our son Daniel
Oh, hi, Daniel.
and Susan and Susan's daughter Sarah and Susan's son Tom and our daughter Becky and me and Joe. Can you see this?
You got that.
Hold it up a
Hi,
little bit.
Joe.
This is Joe.
Oh, yeah.
And Grandma Edith Baum,
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
my mother and father and Mike, and our kids are now in their 50s.
Wow.
I thought that was kind of fun.
What
When was
year?
that taken, in
Barbie?
the 80s?
What year do you think that picture was?
Yeah, no, kids were born in we got married in the 60s. So this is probably in the late 60s. The late 60s. And this is a picture when Grandma Betty, after Grandpa Milton died, took us on a boat ride
That's nice.
on the Mississippi Queen. And so here we are a few years later with
Wearing
and Tom
matching
Hershenson had the
t-shirts.
idea to say, I'm with Betty, and there's mother in the middle saying, I'm Betty.
Oh,
That's cute.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
So I thought, I was looking at them and thought you might enjoy seeing these very old pictures of our family.
Barb, how long was the trip on the Mississippi?
It was Cincinnati to Pittsburgh, which by car is 3 hours and by boat was 5 nights and 6 days. And nobody was that on the Mississippi Queen, and nobody was that excited about going except Grandma Betty. And we all had a wonderful time. And you stopped at important places like Rosemary Clooney's birthplace, so we could see her. I mean, those were the kinds of things we saw. It was
Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun.
That's a memory.
Yeah, it's a wonderful memory. Yeah.
It's terrific.
Can you scan the photos and give them to Madeline?
If I can figure out how to do it, I'll be happy to. I will have to,
I bet Daniel would help you.
I bet Daniel could. Yes.
And you have a picture of your mother that I gave you. Is it on the piano yet?
It's a picture of my mother. Oh, wait, there's another picture. Wait. You got this one. This is Grandma. Here is Edith on her honeymoon.
Right.
Oh my
You
gosh.
probably all have that. Do you all have that?
No.
No, I don't.
Yes, in Holland. That's my understanding. So that's Edith, long time ago.
She once told me that she actually was a witness to the San Francisco earthquake.
That's right.
She was
Yeah.
there when it happened.
Yeah, in Oakland, looked across the bay.
Exactly. Yeah, I think they were in San Francisco and they'd gone to Yosemite, and coming back, the earthquake happened and they lost their luggage
Oh,
Because-
wow.
of the earthquake.
Yeah, but they survived.
Could have been worse, exactly.
Could have
If they
been much.
hadn't, we wouldn't be here now.
Exactly.
Some of us
Right.
anyway, some of us.
Right.
So I'll see if I can scan these to you, Madeline.
That would be great.
They really are kind of fun.
Madeline is the repository of all things wonderful.
And I'll scan this to everybody.
Yes, that would be great.
What's that,
Yes,
Oh,
Mark?
that's great.
This is a 1980s newspaper. That has an article about Jimmy Bebro. So I thought what I'd do is I'll just scan it and put up for you. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Yeah, it really is a great picture.
Yeah.
And this is a picture of Susie and Lee and Joe and Tiger, our dog. And
Yay, Tiger.
yeah, yay, Tiger. Remember Tiger, Betsy?
Oh, of course I do. I used to write to Tiger and send him treats. I used to, I learned how to bark like a beagle because of Tiger. And we would sit upstairs in Betty Safier's house and talk to each other, which drove Betty nuts.
Uh-huh.
And so I would go, sometimes I go to the park and I am both the whistler, come Tiger, come, and then bark.
Uh-huh.
So people are all looking around, where's the dog?
Oh, that's right.
The other thing, and Leon just showed this to me, but he wanted me to share it. Oh, here's Mother. This is, I think,
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, that's a
Wow.
wonderful picture.
That's the one I sent, that I gave you.
right. And Mother, and here is a letter from Haverford College to Arthur Solomon. I don't know if you have this, Mark. Dear Sir, a catalog of Haverford College is sent to you as requested in your favor on the 6th something. I regret to say, however, that the number of applications for Jewish students for 1930 has already reached its maximum complement, and that we cannot accept any more such applications for next year.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Do you want to know what I did with that letter?
What?
I think you were here when I told you I wrote to the president of Haverford,
Oh, that's right. Yes.
and I sent them the letter, and they wrote back and apologized up one side and down the other. Of course, hi Joe. Of course,
Hi,
they
Joe.
had then figured out what my dad had done, and I said, "Oh my goodness, we are so sorry. We missed out on having such an illustrious person in our college," and so they were quite apologetic. And it was nice to have that letter.
Well,
That's-
that was
that's
good of
nice.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, who knew?
I bet they were surprised when they got it.
Well, they were embarrassed.
I'm sure.
As well they should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you were here, Barbie, Leon mentioned that other people had received letters like that.
Well, we didn't receive letters, but where Leon and I, well, Susie and I, and went to college in Pittsburgh, Winchester Thurston, they had a 10% rule. There were 36 girls in our class and 4 were Jewish.
Oh my
That was it. Mhm. I mean, I don't know that it was, we didn't get a written letter like this, but it was sort of known.
Yeah, and that was true for me at Shadyside as well. It was clear that, I think there was an unwritten rule. Frankly, I was surprised that I got in, given my marginal grades, although they did ask me to retake 9th grade, but, it was, the rest is history.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. In
You're
our life,
shocked?
that happened. Yeah.
Did you go to public school all the time, Mark?
No,
Ebro?
no.
Where did you go?
I went to private Catholic schools, and I'm sure they didn't have a quota on Jewish folks.
Yeah, but I know I had at least one Jewish friend who went to Catholic school in Pittsburgh.
Oh, they would accept anybody that get in.
Mhm. How about you, Mark Solomon?
Basically, I went to both a private school and later on a public school. And after that, I went to Vassar College.
Oh, wow. When did Vassar start accepting men?
You're in 72, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And in fact, we have a reunion coming up this June.
All right. It'd be your
How many-
50th, right?
How many men when you're
No, that can't be.
Well, it was about 350 men and 450 women. That was pretty close to 50-50.
Wow.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The average class was about 650. So it was nice.
Vassar. Yeah. Huh. Betsy, you went where to school?
Rochester Institute of Technology.
Hmm.
It was huge.
How many
RIT
women
was-
were there in your
I-
class?
Don't know. I don't know these things like you guys do.
RIT was just down the road from the U of R where I went.
Right.
How about you, Madeline?
Still
Where'd you go to college?
Oberlin.
Oh, well, wasn't that handy?
It worked. It was a useful solution to a difficult problem. I applied to something like 5 schools. I didn't get into any of them.
How
Oh,
terrible.
no.
Yeah, it was bad. And so my parents decided to see if they could admit me at Oberlin. And because they had connections and I was a faculty brat, they said yes. So that's how I ended up at Oberlin. But what I really wanted to go was Harvard or Yale. But that was the first year that they were accepting women at Yale. And every female creature in the entire known universe was applying to Yale. So it was, I was an okay student, but not a stellar student. And also there's some indication that the guidance counselor, college counselor at my school didn't like me. And that I did not get the full benefit that kids that she liked got. She had a lot of pull with people. And I don't think she did any pulling for me. So, but
But did you enjoy Oberlin?
yeah. I mean, it was a little, because I lived there, I come from there. it was a little bit of a disappointment. I really didn't want to be that close to where I had grown up, but no, beggars can't be choosers and all that. Not that that makes it sound terrible, but it was, it was an excellent education. I had a good experience. I got my degree. I went on and went to the University of Illinois for grad school. So yeah, it all turned out fine, but it was painful when it happened.
Where did your dad go to school?
He went to Yale for everything.
And
he
you
was-
couldn't, as a legacy, you couldn't get into Yale.
I
Exactly.
couldn't, not only could I not get in, but they wouldn't let Ellen in either.
Really?
Right.
Wow.
And after that, my dad wrote to them and he said, if you don't want my kids, you can't have my money. Bye-bye.
Good for him.
Oh,
Good for
That's-
him.
I'm
Yeah.
glad he did. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
how's
he pulled the plug on that.
Ellen is your sister or something?
She's the youngest. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh,
And she lives in San Diego.
Right.
how is she doing?
I think she's doing okay. She's
Mhm.
doing a lot of volunteer work, mostly directly or indirectly having to do with food. Mostly like food preparation and delivery to shut-ins of one sort or another.
good for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Keeps her off the street or on the street, but in a good way.
Well,
So-
she taught cooking for a long time
She did.
at community college.
Yes. Yeah. Before that, she taught at Job Corps, which is the federally funded program for underprivileged youth,
Yeah.
teaching them a trade. She taught Job Corps for a long time, and then she switched over to teaching at community colleges and vocational schools. But she retired. They had a financial crisis in several $1 million went missing in the
Oh.
school district in San Diego. That was what she was part of, and they suddenly had to save a lot of money. So they offered a lot of people kind of a golden parachute retirement program. So she decided to take it, and that was, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
So is she happy now?
She loved the first year of retirement. After that, it got a little tedious. But now that she's got more volunteer activities, I think it's better than it was. Yeah.
So,
Joe, what-
Madeline, let me ask you, we're missing Rob and we're missing Edith Ann, right?
Well, Rob said he couldn't make it. Edith Ann said she would try to make it if she could.
So that would make a nine in our group, which is
And Susan.
it's growing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I mean, only a few people responded to my email suggesting that we plan this. And rather than chase everybody, I decided, let's just go ahead and plan the meeting. And if people can make it, great. And if they can't, oh, well, next time, come next time.
Son, yeah.
Do we have any lost souls that want to join in with our frivolities? And any other family members who we,
I thought
We
Ellen
didn't-
was,
What's that?
I thought Ellen was going to be here.
Oh, did she tell you she was?
No, she doesn't talk to me.
She's been invited. She's been invited. She knows when it's happening. So, if she wants to come, that's great. And if she's not here, that's okay too, I guess.
Has there been, since I joined a little late, was there any discussion about the reunion in Pittsburgh?
Not
That
yet. We're
timing?
waiting
No,
for you.
Nothing yet. No, we're
Oh,
waiting
We're
for
waiting
you.
for you.
Joe, how's your wife?
yeah, that's the next question.
Fern is okay. She's got a lot of assorted pains in her shoulder and her lower back and tush area. We went to the neurosurgeon last week who said, a lot of the lower back pain is associated with stenosis and compression of vertebrae in the lumbar spine. And for the moment, she's scheduled for an epidural and, really doesn't want to go through a year's recovery from with a 60 to 70% success rate of another surgery. But
Oh, she's been through the mill.
yeah, it's living with pain is not not a happy thing. And, she wants to stay off the opioids, but she's taking Tylenol religiously, and that does seem to help some. And we get out and walk some. So it's not. And then we also have the joy and the challenge of a preteen here, a challenging preteen with Jaden, who, depending upon her day, can be delightful and sweet, and other days can be just the spawn of Satan. And it's not quite the way either of us expected our golden years to be spent. Interestingly enough, I'm transitioning to a comment somebody made about retirement. And Ellen, I've been retired for 22 years. And, I have found lots of things other than Fern and Jaden, other things to keep me occupied. So my days are reasonably full, along with, of course, doctor's appointments, which is something we're all familiar with at this advanced age.
Mhm. You look good, Joe.
Thank you. Well, I just had a haircut this morning, so I
Oh,
and I look forward, if with the logistics work, I look forward to seeing everybody in Pittsburgh sometime this spring. I will tell you that Jaden has a spring break the week of April the 11th. So, and I'll have to talk to Fern if the Casco Solomon Cousins reunion is other than that week, or even if it is that week, I'm going to have to talk to Fern and figure out whether she wants to go and whether, I drag Jaden along, who I think would be bored to tears, but, I could at least show her where I grew up and show her Shady Side Academy and so forth, which she might have passing interest in.
Mhm.
Although,
it sounds like you would enjoy this much more if she were not with you.
I think that's probably true, in part because I don't think she would enjoy it. And that's, I don't think it's fair to inflict that on her. But on the other hand, then I have to figure out what to do with her. Now, Barbie, do you know when the memorial is scheduled for your
For
late
Sam?
daughter?
Let me interrupt for a second. I have a graphic
Sure.
I want to show, which shows which weeks are out because of various people's schedules. So rather than try to do it verbally,
That line is wonderful.
let's just look at the schedule. Okay, where did it go? That's not it.
What did we do without all this technology?
Try again.
Tin cups and string, Joe.
High tech.
Mhm.
There we go. Okay. All right. So here's the calendar with various people's issues or dates they can't make it. This green area down here in May is when Barbie said she would be interested if we could make it happen that time because it slots neatly between two commitments they have on the East Coast.
Any time works for me after March 17th. So March is out and I'm good.
I'll be
Yep.
out from the 6th until the 17th of May.
Yeah, I marked that in there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we are
And,
gone from like the 14th of March till the 8th of April, which is why that's marked off for March and
Oh, yeah.
April.
And I'll be going to my college reunion on Friday, the 3rd of June until the 5th Sunday. And that's
I
it.
think the 16th, but the problem is we want to, I would prefer anything over a long weekend, and the 16th through the 20th is no weekend, but I can make it work.
Yeah, but Mark, didn't you just, one of the Marks say that the 16th and 17th are going to be away?
I'll be away until the 17th. I'll be
What month?
gone from the
Of-
6th of May until the 17th of May.
One of the possibilities would be Memorial Day.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. For some reason, I thought it was the
I'll be doing what Joe Safier did.
16th, 15th. Okay.
Oh,
All right,
you're
Take
coming-
a cruise.
Oh,
Mhm. Good.
So we
what do
could,
you-
All right,
What about
somebody's got
May
something.
28th all the way through to the 31st? How about that? Basically
That's Memorial Day,
weekend.
right?
Yeah, the
Mhm.
28th to the
I'm
31st.
afraid, I didn't think about this, but I'm afraid we might be in Missouri that weekend.
In
Oh,
Missouri.
Yeah.
If we do a long weekend and we want to get to the synagogue, I know there's days we don't want to be there. So,
Because of holidays?
yeah, I mean, isn't that what our great grandfather was involved in, the synagogue?
Yeah, but I would think, other than they have services probably, they used to, I haven't been to Pittsburgh in a long, Friday night, Saturday, they have services in the morning. There might or might not be religious school. But in terms of seeing it, I'm sure, I presume we could go, well, that's a good question.
And then I wanted to see Shady Side.
Academy,
Yeah, you know, Joe's a Shady Side guy.
yeah,
And
and your
then-
dad went there.
As
my
did your
dad-
dad, as did John. And it's a beautiful, beautiful campus.
So I
And-
don't know when they will let us meander around the campus and whether they would give us a guide or anything. So,
and Susie, isn't June 1st a special day for you?
no, I don't know anything about that.
That's her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Well, it's a long way away yet, so we got to get there first.
Hmm. Well, today is our 58th anniversary.
Oh,
wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you,
And
thank
aren't you
you.
glad your father gave you permission to marry Leon?
I am really glad he didn't do it cheerfully, I imagine. As I have said before, my father would never have learned to love Leon, but he would have learned to respect Leon. And that would, for my father, would have been more important, I think.
Absolutely.
You
Right.
want to apply for the April 16th, 17th, 18th?
Do you mean May?
April 16th,
Oh,
17th,
April.
18th.
Oh, right. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Let me look and see.
No.
April, wait a minute, April. Wait a minute, I think I'm in the wrong April 16th. Well, Sam died on the 16th, but the memorial isn't going to be until May, probably.
Well, we could have it later. Say the 22nd to the 25th, somewhere in there.
The 17th for April 17th, I believe is Easter for those of you who celebrate that.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, well, okay, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Exactly, that's a good time.
That's good for me.
I don't think
I
we
think-
have anything then.
Yeah, 22 to 25, that's a good time.
And as I said, I'll see whether I can get that to work out here. Either I'll join you in person or I'll join you virtually for part or all of that.
And from New
We can
York,
see you in person, Joe.
Yeah,
And from
no,
New
you
York.
want to come.
Of course, I want to come. The question is whether I can get the logistics to work. But let's well, let me work on that from this end. But I don't, if this works for everybody else, I certainly don't want to, I don't want to make this more problematic for everybody else. But April the 22nd through the 25th is what we're looking at. I'm just making a note in my calendar.
So Barbie, that would mean that you would be taking a separate trip from the one that you're taking in May.
I would be willing to do that.
Okay, that was my question.
I mean, if we could do it together, but it doesn't, I mean, because it sounds like one of the marks has the 16th and 17th, and Susanna would rather not travel during the week. So I'm easy.
I may have commitments during the week, so.
Sure, I understand. Okay,
and I'll drive from New York City to Pittsburgh, so I'll have a car.
Yeah, we'll drive from, or I will, probably, Bob probably won't come, but I will, and I'll drive.
I
Most
probably
likely.
won't drive.
It's too far for
No?
you.
I'm not going to drive.
Well,
We
that
just
time of year
Barbie,
we
it
won't
would be
need
a lovely 3 days together.
Yes, we
Actually,
should.
6 days,
Yeah,
3
that-
days out and 3 days back.
Yeah, that's a
Could I
lot
have the
of
dates
driving.
again? Could I have the dates?
You may all not know that I drove across the country 3 times one summer.
Wow.
Ay.
We should probably check with Susan and see if she's available too.
Definitely.
Yes.
Is she,
And,
is
and
she
with
available?
Rob,
Barbie,
Yeah,
Barbie,
yes,
would you be willing to call her right now and
yeah,
see?
that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Awesome,
Great minds think alike, right?
of course, and so do
Can I-
ours.
Can I have the dates again in April?
The
22 to
22nd to
25.
the 25th.
I'm in the Dominican Republic.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
okay.
So when are
Well-
you free? When are you
What-
free?
That might be the only time I'm away.
so why don't we mark that as a blue on your crayon and go to the next date?
Mark, what are your dates in the Dominican Republic, Mark?
19th through the 27th.
Okay,
That gives us April 29, 30, and May 1 and 2.
Yes, I'll be at my college reunion on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th on Friday. Yeah,
but
but I can still do that.
We can sandwich it. Is that June or May, Mark?
June, 3, 4, and
Okay.
5.
But we
Good.
can put in April 28 to May, April 28, 29 to May
May
1,
2nd.
2, or, yeah.
Exactly, that's a
1st.
perfect time.
That worked for the gang here.
That's great.
That works for me.
Okay,
So it's a
Anybody
week
else
later.
have trips to wild places like Costa Rica or wherever?
I think we've accounted for all those. So
Except
Barbie,
for
you're gonna
people
check with
that aren't present
Susan,
and available.
right?
Please.
So Mark Bibro, you're going to the Dominican Republic?
Yes.
Ah. So that leaves then the last week of April and the first weekend of May, the
That's
29th
great.
Friday until say Sunday, the 1st or the 2nd of May.
Right.
That's great for me.
That's
Well,
good.
this map is great, Madeline. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. I thought it'd make it easier to talk about it.
Much easier.
So we just have a couple of people that are not here with us who haven't given us their. input.
Okay, so wait, let me write this down and call Susie. I can't. Okay, so we're talking about April 28, 29, 30, and May
1 and 2.
1st, 2nd. Okay, let me call Susie.
Joe, does that make it easier for you than if it were on the previous one we were talking about? Joe, I can't hear you.
Oh, you got to turn on your microphone. Your
Sorry,
microphone.
was, the phone was ringing at home and you didn't need to hear that, so I forgot to unmute myself. Assuming I can work that out with Fern and assorted family members, which I suspect I can, I should be able to get away for at least part of that time, if not all 4 days. And I can contact Shady Side and see if I can get a tour arranged. I would assume the answer is going to be yes, but I'll gladly make that call.
And then the synagogue call. And then we got to look at the, whatever happened to Morewood Avenue, if you swing by there.
Yeah, and Gammy, Susie. Okay, well, Susie, are you free April 29th, 28th, 29th, 30th, May 1st and 2nd? Do any of those dates? Okay. Oh, no idea. Okay, well, those are the days we're thinking about. All right. Okay, bye. Okay, Susie's in a class. She can't talk.
Okay,
So, all right. So if we don't do that, I guess we move to June, right?
Yeah, that's the only other option, really.
yeah. June 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Okay, let's see. 10, 11, 12. Well, I couldn't, okay, June 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Those are all fine with me, and Jaden is out of
They're
school by
probably
then.
better for me, actually. Better for me, June. I just don't want to lose track of the fact that we're all going to do this. I think it's so exciting.
Absolutely.
Well, that sounds good. Friday, June 10th, Saturday, the 11th, Saturday, the 12th, and maybe Monday, the 13th, somewhere in there.
We might have better weather then.
Yeah, and it's beautiful out.
Well, do we want to switch to that being our first choice?
So why don't we? And let's see if Susie can make it either of those. First would be June 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and second choice, April 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, and
Right.
2nd of May, though we don't have to be there for 5 days probably.
No. But we could slide it around within that time period, depending on what people's needs are.
I figured we have 2.5 days together, a dinner and a full day, and the next almost full day, and I think that'll be fine. The local people can tell us where to go and all that kind of stuff, but I think 2.5 days together would be more than enough. Unless other people have other ideas.
And what all do we want to see when we're together? Bartlett Street, right?
Yeah,
Which is now a synagogue. Well, I don't know what it is. It was a synagogue. We might be able to tour it. Do any of you remember it? I remember the library, and Mother had dogs and the dog ribbons. Salty and Pepper. And she had all her ribbons from the dogs in the
That's
library.
cute.
Yeah.
Interesting.
they
That's
were
cute.
still there.
Well, I don't know. I doubt if they're there, but I wonder if the library's there.
Mhm. Well, so Bartlett Street, Morwood Avenue, question mark. Saint Rhoda, as I lovingly call it. That's Rhoda Sholem, for those of you who,
Which is also in the same street.
yes, indeed,
Right.
it's just down the street.
In fact,
Shady Side,
Danny, Grandma Edith lived in an apartment on Morwood Avenue and then across the street on Morwood Avenue.
indeed,
Exactly.
indeed. Shady Side Academy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
There was some talk about the house on the north side.
What
I
about
don't-
the Jacob Gusky house? Didn't we want to try to get in there too?
You mean the one, oh, somebody lived on Morwood Avenue, and did somebody say that house burned down? It was a
I
big,
heard that.
that was Bebro's. Mark, Mark Bebro, do you know which house that was?
I do not know.
I used to go to fraternity parties in that house before I met Leon.
That 1851 Morwood? Is that where?
Susie would know the house we're talking about,
Uh-huh.
and I think she was the one that said it had burned. But we can at least drive by the site even if there's nothing there. And there was a house, at least one house on the north side. Mark Bebro, I don't know whether you had talked about it or whether Susie talked about it, but I think that was the one where Caskell you lived before moving towards Oakland or Squirrel Hill.
Yeah, I talked about it. It's on Beach Street on the north side, and they were there 1880 to 1900, something like that. That's roughly. And a dear friend of mine rehabbed that house about 30 years ago, and it became a historical landmark on the tour. And sadly, he died about 2 weeks ago
Oh, dear.
Oh, wow.
at the age of 61, brain cancer. So I lost
Oh,
him.
my God, how terrible.
But the house is gorgeous. It would be lovely to see.
Oh,
But
great.
You think you could arrange a tour?
I lost my contact, so it would have slammed dunk prior to a few weeks ago. So I have to see who owns it at this point.
Okay.
The old store, is that building still standing?
Yeah,
What's that, Gimbals?
But that's a Gimbals. That's the old Solomon Gusky store, right?
Was that in
Yeah,
downtown?
Kaufman and Bear. So, yeah, it was called Kaufman and Bear, and then it became Gimbals.
Ah,
We need to see that too.
is that still there or has it been
I don't know.
updated?
The Gimbals
Oh.
building is still there, but that's not much to see. It's now an office building or Burlington.
Oh, it's not pretty like the old one.
No,
Oh, well, okay.
Then there's the cemetery, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely good, Mark, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
we
I'd
have
like to
plenty
go
of
by
good-
Malvern Avenue where we used to live.
Sure.
So that's a
Sounds like
whole
we've got lots
agenda
of
right
activity.
there.
Yeah, maybe more
uh,
than we can do in the time we have even.
And we've got let's just pretend, we have Susan, Rob, and Edith Ann, so that's actually 10 people. So to get 10 people in all of the different locations is going to be an interesting logistics issue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
would
Malvern
be-
Avenue, I don't think they'll let us in, but we would just drive by and see it.
Oh, when I was there with Fern and the kids, we knocked on the door and they were very gracious and let us in.
Oh,
But
by the
we'll
way,
have to-
hello, I used to live here 60, 70 years ago. Would you mind if me and my 10 closest cousins came to visit?
But we might want to let them know ahead of time.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Are
I'd be
there
happy if
any
someone
other-
came and wanted to see my house because they used to live here. I think
Yeah,
that
I'd
would be
be-
cool.
Yeah,
Are there any other places in town that would make, so that would have be of some historical context or interest for us?
Jimmy, well, I guess Mark Bebro, you go to Green Tree anymore? Where do you live?
I live about a mile away from the house in Green Tree.
Yeah,
The house in Green Tree is well, not exactly a historical landmark.
well, neither is Malvern Avenue, but we live here.
Is
I
somebody
remember
writing
having
this
a lot-
down? Writing down the list?
I wrote down Bartlett Street, Morwood Avenue, Road of Sholem, Shady Side Academy, Beach Street on the north side, Gimbel Cemetery, and Malvern Avenue. I
Excellent.
don't,
That's a good agenda.
It's busy.
well, but some of these are just drive-bys.
They could be, or they could be stop-ins. You know, for those of you who would be interested, we could see if you wanted to go to a service at Road of Sholem. I mean, Susan and Barbie and I might want to do that on either a Friday night or Saturday morning.
I
may be-
would like to do that too.
Yeah, me
Same,
too.
I'll go.
Me too. I think the last time I was there was for Edith's funeral,
Oh,
which
There is-
was 40 years ago now.
Jesus.
41 years, sorry.
They'll still remember. There is
Madeline,
there's-
you didn't come for our mom's funeral?
Gosh, I can't remember now.
Hmm.
I don't remember.
no, maybe you
Well, but
didn't. That might be a
that's
reason
been-
not to remember.
Might be
Yeah.
the reason I don't remember, yeah.
Yeah. Betsy, did you go to any of the funerals?
I went to Jimmy.
Gammy's.
Pardon me?
I went to Grandma Weber. What do you call Grandma?
Gammy's, yeah. You
Grammy.
called her Gammy, didn't you? Isn't that the
yeah.
reason? Yeah,
Gammy.
yeah.
Mhm.
But you call her, well, you call Grandma Betty and it's Aunt Betty. I get confused.
Same person. If it ends with Betty, it's the same person.
Exactly. I was named for Betty. Even though that was, the wrong thing to do.
Betsy, did you hear the story about Edith Ann, Mark Bebro's sister's naming?
I don't know.
Mark,
Well-
do you want to tell us?
Actually, Joe can know it better than I wasn't aware of that story till
I wasn't aware of it either until your sister shared it with this group a couple
Well, I heard
of
from you,
visits
Jeff.
ago. All right. Well, apparently, when Mark's dad, Jimmy, married Genevieve, who was an Irish Catholic, suffice to
Oh.
say, it created some tension in the family.
Yeah.
And when Genevieve had her first child, Edith Ann, Grandma raced to the hospital and met with Genevieve and said, saw the baby and said, "What's the baby's name?" And Genevieve said, "Juliet." And Grandma Bob said, "If you name her after me, I will see to it that her college tuition is paid for."
Oh, wow.
And sure enough, somebody raced down the hall and grabbed the lady with the birth certificates, and the name was changed. And every birthday, she got savings bonds. And when she was old enough to go to college, there was enough money there for her to go to she went to the Catholic University in Washington, D.C., and Grandma Baum took her on a shopping trip to make sure that she had an appropriate attire for her college years. So
Wow.
you talk about being named for our mom.
Right,
That's another family naming story.
That's nice.
As you know, the Jewish tradition is not to name for people who are
Yeah.
alive,
right.
but obviously some exceptions were made.
I would have been happy if it became Hugo or some other name. Same deal with that. Yeah. Or then go to the next sibling.
Well, actually, my middle name is.
Apparently, my parents were so happy with the name of Susan. It was when they gave serious thought to naming Goosen, but fortunately they had prevailed. Something else prevailed.
And Mark Bieber, who were you named for?
Uncle Mark, Uncle
Ah,
Mark Solomon.
my grandfather.
Yeah.
And I
Who-
think he was named for Marcus Gusky, but I'm not sure. That's where he got them.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
That's my impression.
Yeah.
And as some of you know, my middle name is Hugo.
Really?
Yeah, Joseph for my paternal grandfather and Hugo for my maternal grandfather, who died. They died within a day of one another in 1936.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, Mark, who are you named after? I assume your grandfather.
I was named for my grandfather,
Yeah.
but I think when he was growing up, learned to speak a little bit of German courtesy of Hugo Baum, but I'm not sure. Is that true?
Well, he had some lessons in elementary school or nursery school that he had written in German that I have. So he must
Because
have
of-
a German tutor at some point or a German
Oh.
teacher.
Or Fraulein, right? Wasn't there a woman who took care of
Yeah,
him?
that was
growing up?
Fräulein might have been the one
Fräulein.
that taught her.
Yeah.
Well,
Caroline was wonderful. She was a mother to us. She was one.
I believe that Hugo spoke German at home, I think. And I know our mother, and I think John, I don't know about John, but our mother learned German when she was growing up, and then they stopped speaking German during the First World War.
Right.
Well,
Yes, Pascal was German.
John was bilingual.
Hmm.
And because he was 5, I think, when Fräulein came, and she was instructed to only speak German to him. So that was how his whole life he was fluent in German, although it was kind of funny because he never really acquired an adult vocabulary for a lot of things. So he sometimes would still use children's words in German without realizing that, but after you were 10 years old, you weren't supposed to use those words anymore. Like one example is that quotation marks in German. I have forgotten what the regular name for them is, but children call them little goose feet. And he called them little goose feet his whole life. So kind of funny.
I must say, these family stories are just absolutely wonderful.
I think Hugo came over when he was 15 because I have the shipping test for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our dad, Susie, also was able to speak a bit of German because of Fraulein, but I'm not sure.
His German was not nearly as good as yours.
Well,
Mark studied in Germany for what, a year and a half?
yeah, I went to school there. Yeah.
When in school?
I was 18, I think, and I went to a school in southern Germany. And the locals were very nice to me. The people were very good. So they made me feel right at home. It was a nice experience.
Well, Mother graduated. She was home taught until John was born. I thought Mother was 8 when John was born. And so then she went to public school in Winchester, private school. And she graduated when she was 16. And her parents thought she was too young to go to college. So she went to Switzerland to finishing school for a year.
Where? Which
Where-
town?
In Lausanne.
Lausanne, where she
Was
had
that-
to speak.
Where they
Did she
speak French?
French there? I think she spoke French.
Yeah.
And then she came back and went to Smith College after that.
I bet
You
she
know-
loved that year.
You know, Hugo and Edith and John were in Lausanne, I think, during the same time, because he was 8, so she would have been 16. So they spent, I think, a year in Lausanne. I have a photo album and all kinds of stuff. And I have to go get this and show you. I'll be right back.
It's a very pretty city. It's on the Lake Geneva, the Riviera of Switzerland.
So to tell everybody what happened after Mark spent a year in Germany, I went over to France, and he and I spent 6 weeks driving around
Europe.
France and
Spain.
Spain.
Yeah.
And he was speaking German and I was speaking French. And we finally met up with our dad in Munich 6 weeks later, who was very upset with us because we never sent him one postcard.
That's true. But we had a lot of fun.
We had such a good time, such adventures.
Yeah.
But it was nice that we had, who are these?
Well, who are these creatures?
These are my father's. Can you see them okay? I can't see my own pictures, so I don't know. These were my father's puppets. And this
Yes.
is just 2 of them. It was a Punch and Judy set.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And there's there's a skeleton, there's a crocodile, there's a bunch of them. I forget who this is and who that is. But anyway, he got these, I'm pretty sure, when he was in Lausanne. So these are antiques. These are over 100 years old, I think.
Wow.
We have the whole collection. We have them some of them displayed in our living room. So
Oh, they're beautiful.
What did
they're
he use
cool.
them for?
they're
puppets.
playing, they're puppets. You just play with them and pretend you're putting on a puppet show,
Oh, that's cute.
just like kids do now, I think. Maybe they don't, but I know we did when we were kids.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
wife still does now.
What, puppet shows?
She has little toys that she carries. She likes them. Yeah,
Hmm.
from all over the world.
So when we gather, are you coming by yourselves or with your significant others?
I don't know. I don't have any idea. I probably think I would prefer to come alone just because it's easier.
Mhm.
Stu travels all the time anyway, so I'm gonna get my turn.
I'll try to bring the missus along. We've been married now for 27 years.
Mhm.
And I'll talk to Fern and we'll figure out what we're gonna do and what Jaden's gonna do and so forth.
Mark, Bebro, are you married? Or
52,
do you have a significant other of any kind?
50, I'm married for 52 years.
I guess, I hope
Wow.
she's
You're saying
significant.
yes.
I think that's a yes.
That's a yes.
Same person.
Wow.
Catching up with us.
I don't think I'll ever exactly catch up, but yeah, I'm right behind you.
Yeah. Right.
Barbie, so when you talk to Susie, you'll send out an email to everybody about, which of these dates will work for her? And then and if somebody would send out a list of all the places that we've talked about now, and then we can all, take responsibility to start the real planning of this, contact places and then the other question would be, where do we stay? I mean, it would probably make sense, other than Mark and Susan would be living at home, but all of the travelers would probably stay at the same, it would make sense for us to
Sure.
stay at the same place.
I agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
Then
We
can
might
get
even be able
together.
to rent a house or something,
Yeah.
which would be fun.
Any
Mhm.
place is fine with me.
I guess there's one other thought, and that would be the Concordia Club.
Do they have how, well, does anybody belong?
I don't,
Joe, there ain't no
Your class finished? Question
oh,
mark,
it's gone? Okay.
comma,
it's
please,
part of-
comma.
University of Pittsburgh.
According to Concordia Club is gone.
At
Who
least
knew?
the building's gone. I was at a conference and I was looking around at Pitt, and I knew the building. And walking outside, it was the Concordia Club.
Oh, wow.
Wow. You know, but when I think of Aunt Gertie and Uncle Jack, they lived in the cathedral mansions, right?
Yes,
Is it still there?
it's still there.
Hmm. Hmm.
In
And
June,
is Joyce's there still? Oh, Gammy would take me to have a chicken sandwich on white bread with no crusts at Joyce's. Oh, it was such a treat. With mayonnaise and lettuce.
it's
What did you say, Mark? We couldn't hear you.
probably a Starbucks by this point.
Oh, how sad.
June is actually a good time because I assume Pitt will be out of school, so there'll be there are lots of places to stay in Oakland.
that's
Stuart
good.
and I went to Pittsburgh quite a few years ago and stayed in an Airbnb and went to the Carnegie Museum. But the reason we went to Pittsburgh is we bicycled from Homestead to Cumberland, Maryland over 5 days on the Great Allegheny Passage.
Oh, yeah, good for you.
It was a very, very nice trip. And people would ask me, well, did you get lost? Well, it's a straight line. And it's all nice and basically flat. There's a very slow grade over the days, but we found Pittsburgh very, very interesting city.
It's come a
Oh,
long
it
way.
is.
It's come a long way.
I haven't been there for 40 years.
Oh, my-
You'll be surprised. When we went back, I can't remember when we went, maybe for Mother's funeral, which is 20 years ago, right, Joe?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've been back since, but I was impressed with how different downtown was. You know, it was a lot of buildings that used to be there aren't. I know that they had cleared a block in the middle of downtown. And I think they just had places where you could sit and dine, and, you know, they had little restaurants all around.
Sure.
I think of Pittsburgh as very dense downtown, but is that correct, Mark Bebro?
That's correct. That's Market Square. They have entertainment. It's a great mixing place for lots of people.
We'll have to
Downtown-
check that out.
It's very pretty. I mean, it's very lovely. It's no longer dirty, so you don't have to worry about that. It's
Oh,
not-
no, it's very clean. When
Very-
we stayed near a beautiful park, and part of the park was maintained, and then part of the park was really wild. And I can't tell you what part of Pittsburgh that was, but it was a beautiful place.
And when we grew up, of course, the mills lined the river, and now they're all gone. When they talk about the Rust Belt,
They're all gone,
they're all gone.
That's Homestead. It's all shopping centers
correct?
Huh.
and 3 smokestacks.
Right. Non-functioning.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to need to excuse myself. I came late and have to leave early. I have to help Fern get ready for a doctor's appointment. So I've got to go. It's great to see everybody. I look forward to seeing you later in the spring. And, you know, this has real potential to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I hope it all comes together. I hope I can be there to join everybody.
And we
I'll
hope
see you.
to have a Zoom meeting in a month or so, just to firm up any details and bring in stragglers.
Great. Terrific.
Good.
I'm-
All right.
I'm signing up.
Hope everybody feels better, Joe.
Thanks.
It's good to
Yeah.
see
All right.
you as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Joe.
All right. Bye.
And I got to go have lunch, so I'm going to see you then in a month.
Okay, great. Madeline, do you want to send out a notice to everybody?
Yeah, I
Were
will.
you taking notes, or do I need to?
Well, no, but you know, we're recording this, so I can just go back and
Okay.
replay where you read the list, unless you want to read it off to me really quick right now.
Well, the 2 dates were June 10, 11, 12, and 13,
Right.
or April 28, 29, 30, May 1st and 2nd.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, April.
I mean, I don't know that we want to be together that long. That seems like a lot, but
Right.
April
right.
28th, 29, 30, May 1.
Over a
and
long
2.
weekend, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and the places to see are Bartlett Street, 5706 it was,
Right.
There are two places on Moorwood Avenue. One is Moorwood Gardens, and the other is across from the temple. I don't remember the number.
Yeah.
Road of Sholem, Shady Side Academy,
Mm-hmm.
Beach Street on the north side,
Mm-hmm.
Gimbals,
Mm-hmm.
the cemetery, and
Right.
Malvern Avenue. Those are the things I just
And
noted.
the synagogue.
Yeah, Road of
Yeah,
Sholem is.
we got that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's got a different name. You have a funny name for, somebody has a funny name for it.
Oh, Joe, probably.
Joe called it Saint
Saint
Rhoda.
Rhoda. It's very reformed.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. That helps. I don't have to go back and listen to the recording to find out what we said.
Well, and then when you send it out, people can see whatever I missed, I didn't write down.
Yeah. And or if people have other ideas that we didn't come up with this time. So excellent. All right.
Well, great. Well, thank you. Lovely to
Thank
see
you.
you all.
Great
Thank
to see
Nice
you.
meeting Betsy.
Yeah.
Somebody
Nice-
has to let Betsy know what started this whole thing in the press, the whole.
Betsy started it all?
No, Betsy doesn't know that my father died 20 years ago, but my stepmother died a year and a half ago. And when they cleaned out the house, they found a trunk,
Oh,
and the trunk hadn't been opened in 75 years. And I have it, and it's got photographs of all the family and people partying at the beach and thousands of letters. And I started to talk to Joe and Barbie about that. And so now we have this wonderful family across the country that's been created out of finding this old trunk. So it's a
Oh.
wonderful thing.
there were some emails about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've been emailing since sometime in the middle of last year, right? It was like last summer that we started doing these.
And check out the photos and the information on ancestry.com that Madeline's put together, because there's all kinds of wonderful photographs.
Madeline, do you want to send out that link again, please?
Yeah, I'll do that. Make sure that everybody has it.
Do you have the pictures I showed you earlier?
I was
This one?
looking. I don't think so. I
or
know
this
I've,
one,
I think you just sent me that one. Let
and
me
this
look.
one?
Yeah, I don't have that one. I mean, I've seen that one, but I haven't got a copy of it. So if you could send me that one and the first one that you showed me, again, that would be great.
This one? Or this one, 4 generations?
The black and white one.
They're all great.
Say
Doesn't
something,
matter,
Barbie.
because
Oh, well, this is Grandma Edith, Betty, Susie, me, and Sarah and Becky. And this is Daddy, Milton, Grandma, Betty, Lee Hershenson, Susan, and Sarah, Joe, me, and Becky, and Tiger the dog.
Well, if you could scan those and send them to me, that would be wonderful.
I will try to do that.
Yeah.
Because they truly are. They're really wonderful pictures.
They are. They're
Great.
great.
I will try to do that. Okay, well, nice to see you all.
Good to see you too.
Wouldn't it be good if we could get together?
oh, it would be just a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
We've all waited long enough,
yeah.
and we're all the same age.